Hey y'all, we all doing? I'm sitting out here in the middle of a cotton field right now, just thinking about something good I can post on this YouTube and give a little more information, I guess, if you will. Look here, beginning out Livescope. This is my settings and how I once learned. This might be a kickoff for Livescope Stage 1, if you will, a forward-facing Stage 1. My personal Livescope, I'm still running the old school transducer, the first kind that come out. I ain't got the 34 yet. I'm running a 1222. I've showed y'all in previous videos. I'm still on a couple updates ago. I hadn't done the newest update or two. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I hadn't been fishing in, I don't know, almost a month now, and I'm starting to have the withdrawals, if you will, like old Craghead curled up in the corner. But now mine's just the old school stuff, the regular transducer, 1222. The way I've got it set up, I've got all of my filters off except for noise reject, I think. That's on high. That's the only one that I've got on, and it's on high. And this is all my preference. Now, everybody to each their own. Everybody gonna find a different way that they like it. This is the way I like it. My color scheme, I believe, is on moss green. I believe that's the one I use. I was using black emerald, and then a new update come out with this moss, and I like it. But noise reduction is on high, noise reject, whatever it is, on high. The rest of the filters are off completely. My color gain generally stays in the 80s to lower 90s, just depending on, every once in a while I'll twitch at a little bit, but my regular gain, I move it a lot. Regular gain, I move it all day long, sometimes from location on the lake to location on the lake. It's anywhere from in the 50s to up in the 70s. I mean, it just depends on where you're at. I fished in one location, pick up and moved across a bay or across a river or whatever, and have to fool with your gain there too. I mean, gains, you got to play with it all the time. Don't feel like you can set it and forget it, because it's going to come times you have to change it, or you're going to be too cluttered, or you're going to be missing out on something. But mine stays in the 50s to, most of the time it don't get over the upper 70s. It stays generally 50s to 70s. Most of the time in the 60s, 68, somewhere around there. It just depends, really and truly. My depth, I try to keep it on 16 foot 99% of the time. Now, I can't if I'm fishing in deeper water and I have to fish on the bottom, anything over 16 foot. But if I'm 16 foot of water or less, I got my depth on my depth setting, the up and down. I got it on 16. I don't care if I'm in 5 foot of water, 2 foot of water, or 16 foot of water. It's on 16. The reason for that is it's constant. It's always the same. I know what fish look like with it set to the 16 foot depth. I know what everything is supposed to look like with that depth. Once you start zooming that in or expanding it or whatever, that's going to mess up what your targets look like, what your jig looks like. I'm used to seeing everything on 16 foot deep. Y'all might want to do 14 or 10. In what I've seen so far, I don't like to, if you're fishing like shallow water, you got it on, just say 5 foot of water, don't put your depth on 5 foot, and your water's at the top, and you got the bottom's at the bottom, and you got 5 foot, and that's it. Don't do that. It's a lot harder on your eyes. It's harder to see. If you'll zoom that depth out, like I said, I run mine at 16, even if I'm in super shallow water. Once you get in shallow water, 9 times out of 10, that screen's going to be a little bit cloudier than most other times. Reason being, there's particles in the water. There's little microbes and all them little bitty, all that forage and stuff and little nutrients or whatever that all the fish and the bait fish, they'll nibble on, get them a little snack. Pollen. In the spring of the year, pollen is horrible when you're in shallow. Heck, it's horrible out in deep water. It's horrible in shallow water. When that pollen gets thick on the water, you can see it falling through. You can see it when you set the hook. You can see your line come through that pollen that's done floated down in the water column. But my depth stays on 16 foot 99% of the time unless I'm fishing super deep. My forward range, that just depends on how I'm fishing, the technique I'm fishing, how spooky the fish are. When I'm really busting them up and it's a target-rich environment, I'll zoom her down to 30 because I know I don't have to look for fish much. I've looked out as far as 70 or 80. I mean, I mess with my forward range a lot, just depending on how I'm fishing, the technique I'm fishing, how the fish are acting. That's where I get that. But now, just for beginners, if I was to give you some advice, I'd start out with like 30 or 40 foot. Start out with 30 or 40 foot and keep it there. because that's a good range. You're not too far off of them. You're close enough to where you can see them good. You can tell detail. You can pick up things. Everything's a little bit bigger. If I was starting out, I'd start out with my forward range 30 to 40 foot and keep it there until you learn, you get better at it. You might want to zoom on out and hunt a little farther out. You can do whatever you want to. It's yours. I mean, hell, I didn't buy it. You bought it, so you can turn on wood. This is just kind of help y'all. But as far as looking for the fish, all you do is get you a comfortable speed, like 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, it don't matter. Get a speed that you're comfortable with, that you can control your boat at. Boat control is 99% of the game. I'm going to tell you right now, with Livescope, other than putting the time in and learning it, there's nothing like time on the water. I promise you that. You're not going to learn it just somebody tell you a trick or a tip and go out there and you're the next Josh Jones or Matthew Rogers or Eric K. You're not going to be the top of the line just by, somebody giving you a tip. You've got to put your time in, and nothing against them. That's the best in the country, baby. They are number one, numero uno. But you still got to put that time in. You go fishing with them feller, they can tell you. You watch all my stuff on my different social media. I'll tell you everything that I know how to do and help you all I can. But nothing replaces time on the water. Other than that, boat control is of the utmost importance. You got to have good boat control. So start out slow. Don't be scared of it. Don't be hammering on it right out the gate. I mean, you can if you want to. Hell, I didn't buy it. Break her off. I don't care. But in my opinion, start out slow and just, when you're going through there, just steadily back and forth that trolling motor. Now I've got my Livescope mounted on my trolling motor. That's my preference. I don't like it on a handheld stick. That's just something else that's going to take up one of my hands. I don't like it. I get clustered and fumble finger and everything else, and I don't like it on no stick. That's just me. Nothing against it. I like mine on my trolling motor because I'm right there at it. It's hands-free. I can do what I need to do. But whenever you hunt and you got it on trolling motor, just back and forth, slowly back and forth. You see a target, keep it on it. Ease up into it. Don't come in hot, because I'm telling you, you come in hot on them, and you either got to be quick on the draw. I'm talking about wide earth quick. Put it on quick and snatch them. You can do it. It can be done. There's a lot to do. But the slower and the easier you come into it, the easier it's going to be on you. It's going to be a lot easier to get that jig on that fish or bait on that fish or whatever without spooking them. Heck, you can even, if you run power poles, put your paddles on and drop your paddle and slow down into the fish. I promise you it'll keep from spooking them fish out there. You want to come into them as easy as possible. Don't come into them hot. That ain't fun. I promise you'll get madder than a wet hen, but come into them easy. Have good boat control. Time on the water. Nothing replaces time on the water. I would suggest, y'all check out all my videos on here and on the old TikTok, hit that up. I got a lot of informative stuff on there. Check out all my stuff, but find you a good guide somewhere if you still need help, if they know what they're doing. Now, don't just pay your money to old Jimmy that just bought a deadgum 14-foot John boat and put Livescope on it, and now he's a guide. I would make sure Jimmy's pretty decent with it before I'd put my money in it. If I was wanting to learn how and I had the means to do it, I'd find me one of these A1 since day one guides that's really good with electronics. They'll help you with more than just Livescope, side imaging. They'll help you all they can. Of course, for a nominal fee, but I believe it's worth it. Matter of fact, I'd go with them. There might be stuff that I don't know, and I know it is. Cagel's taught me stuff being around Matthew, and boys has taught me a lot. They'll teach you. You pay you a little nominal fee, they'll take you out on the water, catch you some fish, and ask them questions. That's what they're there for. But it'll help you a lot by doing that, going with somebody that knows what they're doing to where they can get you set up. And then after that, all it is boat control and time in front of that screen. I will say this, I'm not sponsored by Garmin or nothing, by no means, don't get any money from them. The bigger the screen, the easier it is to learn it and get better at it, because everything is so much bigger. It's like watching TV you want to watch TV on a little 20-inch flat screen or a 70-inch flat screen. Everything's bigger. That's why bigger screen really and truly is better. I started out with a 9. Within 2 months, I bought a 10. I should have just went straight to a 12, but I'm ignorant. I couldn't help it. Started out with a 9, went to a 10. Still got my 10. That's my little backup unit. Then I went to a 12. Within a month, I went to a 12. And I think 12 is about the sweet spot. I thought about a 16, but I'm still on the fence about that. They're just so much bigger, heavier. I like my 12. I mean, that's what I'm used to. Bigger is better when it comes to forward engine screens. I can testify that. I don't make no money. This ain't no selling point. I'm telling you right now. Bigger is better. But other than that, just check it out. Like I said, I'll go back over my stuff again. Go as slow as you can to get till you get used to it. Steady back and forth. If you got it on your trolling motor, just ease back and forth till you see your target. Forward range, I would suggest start at 30 or 40 foot. Depth, find you a place, like if you fish a lot of 10 foot of water, set your depth on 12 foot and leave it there, as long as you don't get over 12. I suggest a little deeper. I run mine on 16 all the time. It stays on 16 unless I'm super deep, of course. But the more you can have that more consistent, you'll be able to judge the fish size, see your jig better. Your eyes will train to what it needs to see and what you're seeing on the screen, instead of zooming everything in and moving all your settings 100 times a day. Now, my settings, as far as they go, like I said, all my filters are off except for my noise reject. It's on high. That's why I like it. I cast a lot. I jig. I fish all kind of ways. I like my noise reject on high. Everything else on off. I got my color gain in the 80s to 90s. Regular gain anywhere from the 50s up to the 80s. Just depends. Very seldom do I ever have picture perfect Livescope screen where everything's black and beautiful and roses and sunshine and candy canes and whatnot. Very seldom does that happen. Like 99% of the time, it's not like that. I like a little bit of fuzz, to be honest with you, some clutter, because I know I'm getting everything out of the unit. I know she's working. I got that sensitivity kicking, Jack. When you put more filters on something, if you filter stuff out, it's going to come at a cost. It's going to cost you on something else. If you try to take something away from something, it's going to cost you somewhere else. Keep that in the back of your mind. Don't try to filter too much out. A little bit of fuzz is okay. And I'm not talking about just where you can't see your jig, but a little bit of fuzz, there ain't nothing wrong with it. And don't think that all the pros and all the number ones have a perfect screen day in, day out, every day, because that is not true. I promise you. You can talk to any one of them, and ain't none of them going to say, yeah, my screen is perfectly black. All I see is the target that I'm looking for and my jig and whatever kind of cover. That's all I see. I guarantee you everybody sees. Well, there's clutter in the water. I mean, there's small bait fish everywhere. Pollen, like I talked about earlier. There's stuff in the water. It's not going to be completely crystal clear 99% of the time. You're going to have some fuzz. Just deal with it. That's part of it. Part of the technology. But other than that, man, I sure would appreciate y'all hit that old like and subscribe up yonder. That's just starting out. We going to go through a few of these little old videos. I just thought I'd kick off with one, how everything's set up on mine. Here in a couple weeks, we head to old Grenada for a summertime tournament, and I'm pretty pumped about that. But I guess I'm going to call this Thoughts from a Cotton Field today. I'm sitting out here in the middle of a cotton field spraying for some worm, trying to get a little game up on this cotton patch. See, it's going to be a little rough on this year. We didn't have much water, but it ain't horrible looking out there. It's all right. It's coming on. We're going to be all right, like a box of pencils. So y'all keep checking us out, and check us out on the other social media stuff, man. I sure do appreciate it. And if you got any questions, holler at me on here. I'll answer them best of my ability. I'll tell you something. I'll make some up. But ask me. I fire away. If you want me to talk about something, let me know. Y'all hit that old like and subscribe and that little bell dinger up there, and y'all keep snatching on them.